everybody. Welcome. Hey, Adam, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I was just sharing some news. We're gonna have puppies soon in our house, so we're super excited. It's a happy day.
Yeah, that's
Adam, thank you
crazy.
so much for being here. I'm hoping like this is going live in different channels, and we're gonna have our followers just coming and joining us. But I'm super excited because we're gonna be talking about writing stories.
hmm
And that's a big thing, especially homeschool families.
Oh, I'm sure it is.
Were you a reluctant writer?
Yeah, I honestly was a reluctant writer. It was really hard for me. It still is sometimes, but I find myself enjoying creative writing the most, and that's kind of where Write Stories comes in. But
Oh,
we'll
that's
get into
awesome.
that.
Yeah. And I want to introduce everybody to Write Stories and introduce them to the company and the heart of the company as well. So there's an awesome story behind the heart of this company. That's why I got so excited about getting to know you guys. And we had a quick call this past week, and you shared some pretty neat things with me. So, would you share with my audience a little bit of the story behind Scriptive and how Write Stories was born?
Yeah, of course, I would love to. So, Scriptive, it was founded in May of 2023, but about a year before that, my father-in-law, Bob Wood, he's the CEO and the president of the company. He was just talking with some friends one day, and he was talking about children's books. And he was talking about how fun they are and that children love reading. But it's much harder to get children to like writing, right?
It
That
is.
seems to be a bigger struggle, is to get, kids to be thinking and to putting their own thoughts down on the page. And as he was talking with some friends, he came to realize, um, what if there was a way that we could peel a book apart? What if there's a
Mm,
way that you could strip the words, the sentences from the pages, and that way you're left over with just the beautiful illustrations, and then you actually have the opportunity for the children to fill in the blanks or write their own words or their own stories to those illustrations. Um, and so this was just a crazy idea that he had. And as him and his friends started talking, they started talking to my sister in law, Nicole. She homeschools her kids. And so she was very intrigued about this idea. Um, and we got our family together and we started brainstorming how we could make this a real thing. And
that's
so,
so awesome.
yeah.
That is so awesome. I'll tell you. So I have my oldest son. He's 16. He was a reluctant writer. Big time. And to write anything was like pulling teeth. You know,
Oh,
it was really hard for him. And it took us a while to find something that will encourage him and inspire him to write. Now, teaching through stories is nothing new.
mhm.
We were created as storytellers. And naturally, we love stories and we love to tell stories. You know, do you have kids? Do you have young kids, Adam?
I actually don't have kids
You
yet,
don't have
but
kids yet,
planning on
but
it
you've got
soon.
nephews and nieces.
Yes, I have lots of nephews and nieces, and I love reading stories with them.
And do they come to you and say, like, Uncle Adam, can I tell you a story? Look what
Yep.
happened. Okay,
That's
so
exactly
kids,
how it is.
yeah, right. And they have so many stories to tell. So kids are naturally born storytellers. It's part of how God created us to retell things that we see. He retell things that happen to us. It's something that is very natural to us. And I think that sadly, that excitement about retelling stories is kind of quenched in the public school sphere. You know, when the kids go to school and they have to stay quiet, they have to raise their hands if they want to say something, like, and they cannot really tell stories, right? Because that's not part of the
Mhm.
story, part of the class. And I think like somehow that gets buried down, their desire to tell stories. But I see that in the homeschooling sphere, we are so open to get the kids to narrate things, especially like with my audience, like we follow Charlotte Mason, philosophy of education. And it's all about narration. It's all about telling stories. And telling stories is really important because the more that they tell stories orally, they will feel more comfortable about writing those stories, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And the way that we get them excited, kind of like inspired, is by showing them pictures. So if we can show them an illustration of something and we ask them, we call this picture study, but we ask them to narrate what's in the picture, then all of a sudden, like a whole new world opens to them and they're like, oh, I see a fox, I see flowers, I see a big tree, I see the sun shining. I see, a little boy riding his bicycle, and then they start, finding more ideas and building their characters and building the, like the narration, how to call it this, the plot of the story,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Because they see a picture.
Yes, exactly. And that's basically what Right Stories, that's the problem that it solves. When we were thinking about this original idea of using those illustrations, we realized that what the children were missing was scaffolding, something to cling on to get them started, to get them into it. There are a lot of different programs out there, like story starters, where you'll see a sentence. The kid will have to read something that says, "Describe your dog," right? And it's like, oh, maybe the kid knows the dog has four legs and it has fur or whatever, but it can be really hard to visualize exactly what that dog could look like. But if you have a story where this is what the color is and this is the fur and the shape of the dog and everything right in front of them, that just snap like an instant lets them, get really excited, and they just want to describe what they see. And that's why Right
That's
Stories is
exactly
so
what it
interesting.
is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And that's why I really loved when I saw your program for the first time. I was like, oh my gosh, this is just genius. Because now they have all of these illustrations and they have all this inspiration. And it's no longer something that is abstract to them, but it's something that is
Mhm.
tangible that they are seeing. They are paying attention to the details, and that they can then describe better with using their words, right? So so you guys, so let me tell you a little bit about this program. I want to actually share my screen with you
Yeah,
and share exactly what it is,
let's
because
dive in.
sometimes just talking about, people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this is one of the coolest creative writing tools I have ever seen in my life. Now, as Adam had described, I have bought a lot of resources that gave me like written prompts to, for my kids to do creative writing. So they would say like, oh, pretend you're walking on a rainy day in a park, and you see a cabin with a chimney blowing smoke far in the distance, and then carry on with the story from there, right? And they're like, I don't know what to write about, I don't know how to do this. Anyways, well, scriptive write stories just brings it to a whole new level, because now you see the illustration, now you got to put your words in the story. And one of the things that I really liked about it, it was like, okay, what if we can reinvent a story that we already know?
Right?
What if we write Cinderella or
Yeah,
any other story? Like, what if we can rewrite that story that we already know and we make it more exciting? Maybe the way that we always dreamed that the story should have been since the beginning. So you got to do that with this awesome program. So I'm going to try to share my screen with you guys. While I do that, how about those of you watching right now, just go ahead and tell us where you're watching us from. That would be really neat. All right. So you guys, this is like the login page. So this is like my login page as a parent. And I do have my daughter. My daughter is, by the way, when I looked at this program, Adam, I first thought like, oh, maybe this is for super young kids, right?
mhm.
And maybe this is for super young kids. Maybe, my kids are a little bit older. They're not going to be interested. My 12-year-old, her eyes were like this big. She's like, this is so cool. This is awesome. Like, can I start like writing a story? I'm like, yes, you can start writing a story. So she picked some books and she start like working through the story, right? She's like, Mom, I want to see how this thing works. So there you go. So she picked this book. Now there's a whole library. Okay, I'm gonna put the library back here. Oh, there's always new books coming in too, which is cool.
Mhm.
So you got like this big library. Now imagine like reinventing the story of the Three Bears or the Piper of Hamelin or by the night of before Christmas. I mean, you can reinvent those stories, right? Or you can just pick something that is completely new. I love that you guys had Beatrix Potter because we love all her
Mhm.
stories. And that would be a fun way also for, the kids to be excited about reinventing the stories that they already know. But there is a lot of books and there's a lot more being added, which is
Sorry,
exciting to see.
real quick, is
Yeah.
your screen showing the library right now?
Oh, let me see. No, the other one is, hold on. Now it will. All
Okay, there
right,
we
guys.
go.
There we go. Now you can see the library. I had another screen going here. So these are the two books that Ariella chose to work on first. But look at this, some of the stories that we already know, and we can like reinvent the story. So basically, this is how it works. Okay, it's very easy. Kids can do this on their own. Parents can do that too on their own. But look at this. You can pick the book on the library, click on the book, and then what you have is you have blank pages to start writing and to create your
Mm.
own stories. This is how it works. I'm going to go back here to the first page. I'm going to click on start writing. Okay.
Is it
So,
showing on the screen again? Sorry.
oh, you know what? It's opening another screen. That's what happened. So I need to
Oh,
stop.
interesting.
I need to stop sharing this and sharing again. Adam, I'm so glad you're here with
Sorry, I
me.
just wanna make sure everyone can see it.
There we go. I'm going to have to just share my screen again. Let me do this. The moment that he opens in a different tab, then it stopped. Unless I share the window, that maybe that would be
Yeah,
better.
that should work.
Okay, let's share the window instead. I think that will be better. But then it's going to share us too. All right, let me go back here. Okay,
There you go.
so this is a storybook, right? That you can rewrite this story. Now, it kind of reminds you of the story of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, but you can make this your own, right? Maybe instead of porridge, it's gonna be noodles
Yeah, could be.
or something else, right? So all you need to do is kind of like you click. Okay, now can you see it?
Yeah, it's working.
There you go. So you pick like if it's the child or the parent who is writing the story, you click in write story. There we go. Pick the book that you're doing. I'm gonna just go back here to the milkmaid. So here you see guys, there's little boxes open on the page. Now you can move those boxes anywhere on the page, anywhere. And you can
Mhm.
make it bigger as well, which is awesome. Now,
And
another thing that I loved about this, you can
mhm.
actually narrate, right? You can do voice to text. So younger kids who don't know how to spell yet could totally just talk to, the program and the program will then write for them, which is so awesome.
Exactly.
I I have never seen this in any programs before, Adam, which just
Really?
blew my mind. Because let me just plug my computer quickly here before my battery dies. But this was something that I had not experienced in any other program before. When my kids were little, and before they start like writing, one of the things that I've learned was to let them tell me the story so I could jot it down for them. So they will tell
Ah,
me the story and I will write the story. And then I'll have them copy that story. Let me just plug my computer quickly here.
that's what's so cool about Right Stories is that we thought about that, and how can we make it easier? That way, the parents don't have to write it down for them. Is the kid can just press a button,
Exactly.
say whatever they want, and it'll automatically put it in the story.
Exactly. I felt like this is brilliant because now the kids can do this all on their own. They can click about them, they can talk to the program. The program's going to write it down and they feel like they are writing a book. How awesome is this? How exciting it is for the kids to see that by, telling a story, now they can have a book and they can get this book and they can save it and they can share. They can share with grandma, with grandpa, with uncle and auntie, and with their friends, with whoever they want. And people can read their books. I mean, that is just so awesome.
Another thing, real quick, about the speech to text tool is that um, if you find your child is reaching a certain age where you want to challenge them more, you want them to focus more on typing out their thoughts, and they're using the text or the speech to text tool too much, you can actually toggle it on and off in the parent control settings.
So that's great. Like, okay,
So
now you have to
yeah.
type it. How do we say this? How do we write that? And
Hmm.
let them type it. That is so exciting. And the fact that you have some books with some stories that are familiar to them can also help them at first just retell that story, right? They can retell the story as they remember, as they
Exactly.
know,
Yeah.
right? So, do you remember this story? So, let's look at the pages. What happened in this page? No, look at the picture. What is the bear doing here? What is the milkmaid doing here? And they can retell the story and, just speak to the voice of text, get it there. But then later on, say, hey, how about we change the story? How about we make up a different story to it, like, or we change the and a little bit, right? Even though like the picture might be the same picture from the end, but what if, because the words change everything, right? The words
Hmm.
can change everything. I think that this is so brilliant for the kids. It really gets their creative juices going on. I think you guys have created a tool that is very exciting to parents, not just for young kids, elementary age, or but when I saw my preteen actually enjoying it and wanted to write more, and I told them, like, I have a bunch of teens in the homeschool sisterhood that will love that because they love writing stories, right? So
Hmm.
I'm like, okay, you guys gonna create something, for teens as well? Like, what's the idea? But I know you guys have something else in mind to create, that you're working on it already, right, Adam?
Are you talking about our next product in the future?
I am. Is that a secret?
Um, Maybe a little
Kind
bit.
of.
So, going back to the original conversation that started Scriptive. So, Scriptive is the parent company, and our mission is to help children discover the joy of writing and creative expression. And so, under our parent company of Scriptive, we have Write Stories, and that's the program we just talked about. And we also thought about if this goes well to do the reverse, where we actually keep the text, keep the story from stories children know and love, like the Three Little Pigs or like the Three Bears, but we take the pictures away, and that way children who love to draw and to color can write their own, or I guess draw their own pictures to those stories, and so they can feel like they're an artist as well.
That is so awesome. And there's so many kids who they think that, maybe I'm not so good with words, but hey, if you give me the words, I can make these pretty pictures and make like a pretty book. So it works with both ways, right? Now, our kids are creative, and I think that it's very important for us to feed into that creativity,
Mhm.
because if we don't, I think things will get quenched, like we were talking about the public school sometimes, like quench those creativities. Because not just for not letting them write or draw, no, but simply for not letting them share stories and talk more, which is something that I love. And a Charlotte Mason uh, homeschool or classical homeschool, right, where they use the Socratic method of just letting the kids talk and narrate and ask questions and think critically, right? I think that's so important. So when we find good tools like that, it's such a blessing. It is such a
Mhm.
blessing because we parents, we're too busy to create our own tools. So we're trying to do our best. But hey, you could not have me illustrated anything for my children to write on. Let me just tell you, stick figuring here will be will be like the top drawing style I could do it. But if we have tools like that, how much easier could it be to encourage our kids to write, to come up with stories or to retell stories? And that's so important. That's so important. So I was really excited when I saw that. I was like, I need to tell everybody about this. It's something that I need to come on board and come behind you guys and say, like, hey guys, this is good. This is really good. That is so awesome. So tell me a little bit about, because you guys just did like a beta launch, right? And you got like some families to come and test it and stuff. Like,
Uh-huh.
gonna share a little bit about like the feedback that you guys got from the program so far, from the families that are trying Write Stories now.
Yeah. So a couple months ago, yeah, we did a beta launch where we just tested out the product with several families. Some of the people were people I knew or neighbors, friends, and initially they just had so many ideas to add on to the product and things for the future. And we've worked really hard to fix a lot of those things and to add those fun features that they've requested. Um, and what's really cool right now with Write Stories is that, like you showed us for a little bit, is we have the parent account and the child account, and we really wanted it to be more of a collaborative effort between both parents and kids. So the kids can write the stories on their own, but the parents have the ability to comment and write feedback and create their own assignments and things like that for their children. And they can also now monitor progress. They can see how many words are written. There's so many little things that we're adding so that parents can really see how their child is progressing and growing through the program. And it also lets them integrate these things into their homeschool curriculum in any way they want. This could be a
That
big
is
part
so
of their curriculum, or it could be an activity on the side to do as a break between lessons, things like that, or just a supplement. And so there's a lot of those cool features. But I had a really cool experience actually watching the product Write Stories be used by two kids. They were my neighbors. I have neighbors who have five kids, but two of their kids, one was 8 and one was 11. It was a boy and a girl. They were really interested in Write Stories, and she homeschools her kids as well. So this was exciting for them. Um, I remember seeing the 8-year-old. He was barely learning how to type, and I showed him that speech to text tool. And when I showed him that, his eyes lit up, and he's like, "Wow! Like I can do anything." Like he just felt that little extra help boost him so much. And I showed him how he could even use it just for spelling because he still wanted to practice typing. But like he kept asking his sister or his mom, "How do you spell this? How do you spell that?" But I told him how if you use that typing tool or the voice tool, he could press the button, say like butterfly, and then boom, it just pops up on the screen. And he was so happy that we had those little features there in place to help them through writing stories. Um, and it was really cool to see because some of the children would actually go along with the story, and like their stories were very similar to the story that they knew, whereas other stories they weren't so familiar with. So they would change things around, or oh, there's some magic in this story when there wasn't before, or oh, the ending's like this, but they change it on, they completely turn it around. And so the creativity there was so fun to see. And I remember as they were writing their stories, their dad came home from work, and both of them were just super excited. They're like, "Dad, Dad, Dad, you have to see my story!" And um, the 8-year-old, he felt like he was an author. He's like, I wrote this story myself, and so he goes, sits in his dad's lap, and he's showing them, turning the pages, and he's like, "Look at this!" And like it just brought their whole family together, and it was really cool to see them all interacting and talking and sharing, and it just seemed like such an awesome homeschool experience to have.
It is, and it boosts his confidence. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of kids, exactly at this stage, they need confidence. They need confidence because they feel like, oh, I don't know how to spell, like this little boy, right? I don't know how to spell. I don't know how to do this. But a lot of them feel like, I don't know what to write. So if you kind of eliminate those obstacles out of the way, then it just makes it easier for them and it's exciting for them and it builds up their confidence and they will continue to do more and more. So I want to hear from some of you guys who are watching this. Some of you guys are watching on YouTube. Some of you guys are watching on Instagram. Some of you guys are watching and different pages on Facebook and our Facebook group. But we want to hear from you guys. Do you have a reluctant writer? And what have you tried with them before? I really want to know that. And are you willing to try write stories and see the difference that it will make in your kid? Because I think it's going to make a big difference. So we want to offer you guys, there's a 7 days free trial when you sign
Mm-hmm.
up for it. So we want you guys to try it out and see how it goes. My daughter loved it. We did finish our trial. We did actually the first because we were the beta testers. We had like 30 days free, and then we went and we signed up for it. And then also, Adam has been really gracious and has given us a 33% off coupon code to use. So if you guys
Mm-hmm.
use blessed, all capital letters 33, blessed 33, then you guys have 33% off on
Yep.
WriteStories. But let me tell you guys, what blew my mind is that you guys kept it affordable. You kept the price affordable enough for any homeschool family to say, I can do this, I can pay for this. Because a lot of times, Adam, people have those grandiose ideas, but then they want to charge like an arm and a leg and a kidney. And a lot of homeschool families who are living in one income feel like I can't pay for it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you guys give us the option to do the monthly payments or to do the annual subscription, which has a huge discount to it
Mm-hmm.
already. So you guys, there's no excuse. It's really good. It's worth trying. It's really fantastic. I am very pleased. My daughter is really excited about it. We're going to continue, like Adam said, listen, this is something you can add to your homeschool routine every day, 2 times a week, 3 times a week. It's up to you, but it's a phenomenal tool to get your kids started with creative writing or maybe just retelling the story, narration, right? And use a little bit of picture study. What do you see on the picture? Can you describe that bear or that lady? What is she carrying in her hands? Where do you think she's going? And sometimes you don't have to say anything, just zip it, let them be creative on their own, because sometimes we get in the way, right? Sometimes we get on the way and we tell them what to do and they're like, now you're ruining my creativity. That's not what I was thinking. So Adam, one more question I wanted to answer to ask you. um what's the average, like what did you guys have in mind when you created the program, and what you guys seeing like age, like of children using the program?
Um, so we honestly had a big variety of ages. But if I were to go to the average or kind of like the golden age, would be from like 7 to 10. From 7 to 10 years old, I feel like, and going back to the experience I had with that 8-year-old who he was just like learning to type, so that did make it easier for him. But he was at that stage where he was still struggling a little bit with spelling and
Hmm.
trying to think about what was going on. So I feel like at that around that age level was the age where the kids benefited the most from it. Like it was just enough challenge for them, but it still let them do whatever they wanted and to be creative. And moving forward, we're definitely adding a lot more things to our program. That's the thing. We are far from done. Like we're adding so many features, and we have so many plans for really cool features for
That's
Write
awesome.
Stories, and we want to change the program so if you log in and your child is a certain age, you can tailor the experience to that child. Like I
Oh, that would
mentioned,
be brilliant.
how you can toggle off like the voice to text feature. There's going to be other things like dictation features, sharing with friends and family. You can choose who you want to share books with. And we're going to change the way that like it looks, and like just to make it the best for a lot of different age groups. So
That is
yeah, there's a lot of fun
awesome.
stuff we have planned. We're so
Oh
excited.
my
and
goodness.
and we love getting the feedback from the people who we've already seen get our product and review it and share their thoughts with us. Like we've seen so much great constructive feedback, and they've helped us so much fix out some bugs and find ways to improve it. And it's just been an amazing process. And like we are a startup, so we're really small, and it's mostly friends and family. But it's been really fun to see the books created and the community, and we really just want to grow it and just share this with everyone. So
That is so awesome. I love that. And I love that you guys are really paying attention to what the families are saying and the kids are saying, and trying to craft more features that will benefit actually a more broader age range. That is so awesome. Now, I'm thinking here, if you guys thought about, because like there's a lot of Spanish speaking people here, like will they at some point be able to use it in Spanish, or is it something that you guys have thought about it, or
we have thought about that. We
oh
have, it's
cool.
definitely on the back burner, but we are thinking of introducing it to multiple different locations and in different languages. Um, It'll just depend on how things go down the road. But if we have more resources and things like that, it would be awesome if we could have teams looking for authors of Spanish books or in other languages. That way, anyone could use our program. Or,
That would be
kids
so
could use it to learn a
awesome.
different language as well. Like, there's so many possibilities. And so
Oh
we're
my
just really
God.
excited.
You know what? So I teach Hebrew, and I'm thinking here, wouldn't it be cool if my students who are learning Hebrew, so their vocabulary is kind of more it's simple, right? Well,
Hmm.
some of them like they're translating the Bible,
Uh huh.
but wouldn't it be cool if they have like write stories to start writing in a language that they are learning?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would be so amazing. Oh, I love I love that. Well, guys, I have written a little review, and I just actually I want to go back and I want to add a lot more to the review now after this conversation. And I want to make sure that I'm going to add the replay to this conversation that we're having right now to the blog post. But I am actually posting the link to the review on the comment. I'm actually posting it on Instagram right now. I have posted already here on my Facebook page. Go and read the review that I did. There's so many benefits. I want to quickly just touch on a few things here. We talked a little bit at the beginning about some of the benefits that is just so natural for the children to tell stories, and we don't want to quench
Mhm.
that and the children. We actually, like, I remember Adam that you said like the goal of the platform is to foster a love for writing and storytelling in children, right? So making like the process enjoyable and educational, fun for the kids, right? It's not like oh I have to write, like kids can get
Yeah.
such an attitude sometimes about writing. But on my blog post I added as well why creative writing is so important. And we talk about like how important it is for imagination and creativity, but let me tell you there's two other things that I think is very important. One is develop critical thinking skills. You need
Yeah.
to analyze a picture. You need to think deeply, what's happening here? Who is this person? You know, what is this character like? And all of those things. You need to come up with a plot and a problem to be solved, whatever it is in the narrative, in the story. You learn to organize your thoughts, right? So you learn that there is an introduction, there's a beginning to the story, there's a middle to the story, and there's an end to the story. But writing stories and writing creative stories, or even just like narrating things, really what it does is help them improve communication skills. That's what it does. And it helps the children like to articulate their thoughts well, right? So it helps them to organize their thoughts, and then it helps them to articulate their thoughts, which is essential for everyday life. So one of the things that I noticed is the more that my kids got comfortable and confident about writing, they got better and better in doing presentations and public speaking, you know, like or whatever kind of writing and presentation they had to do for their homeschool. It makes such a big difference, right? That confidence is so important. Those skills are so important for them. And I found that Write Stories does exactly that. So very, very exciting. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for spending time with me today,
Yeah, it's
kind
been
of
great.
sharing a little bit more about Write Stories. I cannot wait to share this video, send it to my email list so they can get a little glimpse of what it is and what it does and how exciting it is and how beneficial will be for their homeschool children, right? Their kids. Like, it's such an awesome tool. And you guys, like I said, if my preteen loved it, I'm sure if my teen sits down and look at the program, she's going to like it too, because she loves writing and she's very creative. But it's for all ages. You can start with your 4-year old, 5-year old who loves to tell stories. Let them talk to the little program, you know, do the voice to text. Then get the 7 to 10-year old to boost their confidence with spelling and everything else. And then get your preteens and your teens too to give it a shot and try and write their own stories and their own books. um, you guys have a fantastic tool, and I'm so glad you guys came up with this idea.
Thank
So,
you.
so glad. Thank you so much, Adam. This is so cool. And guys, go to scriptive.us. You can go to /homeschoolers, and you're going to see lots of benefits for using the program there. But don't forget, you can sign up, get 7 days for free. You can use the coupon code BLESSED33 for 33% off. That even bumps that price even down. It's
Yeah.
affordable. It's great. They're adding more books all the time. Like, there's new things, the new features coming up. It's only going to get better from here. So I'm excited. Adam, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. This has been fun. Bye, everybody.
See ya.